Good afternoon. It's another day. Do you realize I've been doing these for almost 2 months? 2 months, I know. If you've been here for every single episode, you deserve like a trophy, an award, something. Wait, the real gift is the time we spend together, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. Um, or perhaps it's learning is the real gift. Yeah, I wish that were true all the time. But unfortunately, in times like these, that doesn't seem to be the case. All right, so today is Wednesday, which means I spent my day answering emails, attending an hour and a half long staff meeting, followed up by another meeting with my colleagues, which that part was actually fun because my colleagues have a sense of humor and are entertaining and all that stuff. So, they're rolling out more information about these ratings things, which they aren't grades, which I get. It's really hard to let go of, though, because we're so used to using grades in a grading system A through F in school. So this whole ratings, COVID ratings, is bizarre. And honestly, is, I don't know, just kind of hard to deal with sometimes. But I won't go into too many details on that. The interesting thing is there are no such things as F ratings. There's no such things as Fs for the COVID rating. For COVID, I can't call them grades anymore. I've got to stop doing that. That's my temptation, is to call them COVID grades. No, they are COVID ratings. And they are a combination of your grade before we closed and stuff, and how much work you do or don't do after the closure, but that's only if it improves your grades. So your grade will stay, your rating will be the same as what your closure grade was, unless you improve it. It's bizarre. It's all weird. And I know some teachers have shared out different things about it in writing or screenshots. Guess what, guys? Every staff meeting, we get more information and it changes slightly. So, yeah, pay attention to the emails from the principal, and just know that your teachers have to figure all that out of what it's actually going to look like. And here's the thing, there's a lot of things flying around right now, and I don't know how much you guys have heard about it, with a student hears from one teacher, here's how the grading is that we're all doing. And so then they think all the other teachers are doing that. And it's true that there's some certain things that's the same across the board, which is what was emailed out to you guys from the district, from Principal Ketover. But there's some wiggle room in how we define that within our grade levels and our departments. So please do not assume that just because one teacher is doing it this way, that everyone's doing it that way. It's just like with the online learning. Some teachers are doing asynchronous learning and some are doing synchronous learning. Asynchronous is when you just post a bunch of stuff and you just give the deadlines and there's no live class. And that's really what I've been doing. I do synchronous learning when I do the optional Q&As, but they're optional. So they're really just an additional scaffold, a support to help kids out by being there to answer questions in a live setting, and also provide some of that personal connection that we know is so important to any social dynamic, social group. So that's kind of my explanation of why there is this variety of stuff going on. The other thing I would stress is please, please, please do not compare teachers. I know it's very tempting to do that, but there are some teachers that are literally getting emails from kids saying things like, why can't you do blank like so-and-so does? And every single teacher has a different comfort level with technology and also access to technology. We have the basic stuff from the school, but some of us have other resources at home to use to enhance what we do. Like, for example, some teachers found a way to take their Elmo camera home to use to be able to do live demonstrations with a nice camera that can just be looking right down on whatever they're working on. Maybe it's for math. I don't know. Maybe science. And other teachers didn't do that because those are locked onto a cart and they didn't think to, get that removed and then take that home with them. Because everything was kind of chaotic and we didn't know everything that was going to happen and what we'd have access to if it would work with our computers that we have. So please, this is just Mrs. Thomas's advice for being a better human being. And I'm not the best human being all the time. Trust me. I mess up quite a bit, but I try to be better. But please don't send emails like that to teachers. First of all, it's going to hurt their feelings because they're human beings and they're trying to, I believe, to look for the best in people and assume people are trying to do the best with what they have. I know there are always exceptions. But at least when I see someone trying, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume positive intent. So if I were a student sitting there and I have one teacher that's like knocking it out of the ballpark and has like 5 million different ways that they teach the same concept to me in a week, and they have another teacher over here who's just really posting the lesson and one resource and expects me to do it, I'm not going to sit there and complain to the second teacher because the first teacher is just going way beyond the call of duty. And it's not a big competition between teachers of like which one's going to provide more stuff. I mean, that's just, so it kind of bothers me when I hear stories like that, because then it's like discouraging to go do extra stuff because it's like, well, I don't want people thinking negatively about my friends and colleagues just because they aren't doing this extra stuff that I'm doing. So that's just something to keep in mind. Plus, it's just, as a human being, just be nice and think of their feelings and that they're probably stressed out too, just like you are. And we all have different things going on in our personal lives. I have to keep reminding myself of that with you guys, right? It's a constant thing where I have some days where I'm like, man, these kids, they aren't doing anything. There's only like 10 kids doing things. Okay, it's not that low, but still, it feels like that some days. And so I get in those funks too. I get it. But I always have to reset and say, you know what? Doesn't matter how many are here. Doesn't matter how many kids are engaging or doing the work. I'm going to keep doing the quality stuff that I know they deserve. And if they choose not to take advantage of that, that's on them. Okay. Some are not able to, for whatever reason. I wish they would tell me. I wish they would just send me a quick email of what's going on. But I can't force someone to want to communicate with me. So that's kind of where we're at. So you may see some of those emotions with your teachers and blah, 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 blah. Also, please remember that even though the state gave certain guidelines, each district is interpreting them very differently. It's incredibly frustrating. My daughter's school district, Enumclaw, and I've heard Issaquah is very similar, have much higher expectations from students during this closure. Like my daughter, for example, her principal on his address to them said, hey, if you had an A at closing and you don't do anything, if you don't do your assignments every single week, you're going to get an incomplete. And that's their interpretation of the same exact guidelines from the state that Kent is working with. So also please know that if you talk to friends in other districts, I wish it was the same, but it's not. It's not equitable across the board from district to district. So all we can do is work with what we can control in our district, which is us. So I just say that to dispel any confusion out there that people have, especially when they're talking to friends in other districts. And I would say if you have more questions or concerns about that, to ask the higher powers, not up there. I mean, at the district office. Is that way? I think it's that. Yeah, that way. Okay. They're the ones making decisions, so that's who you should talk to. If you're concerned about your grade when we were in closure, then let me know. Send me an email. Say, hey, what do I need to do to get to blank? You just need to come ask me. And I'll let you know what I think would be the best route for you to get the results that you would want. Next week is the AP exam for my kiddos. I heard that AP Calc had some issues with people who took pictures and tried to upload them for the exam. I know on the AP Lang & Comp you can handwrite and take a picture, but considering all the issues people had with the AP Calc one, I would probably discourage it. I've heard there's an actual like photo type that iPhones have on the newer iPhones that are not, it's not like a JPEG file. So kids have to do a workaround. Like, I can't remember what the steps were. I'm going to try to find what I have from a Facebook page about that. Some teacher that's smarter than me was looking into this issue about file types for images and uploading them for the exam, and was saying there's a workaround you can do on your phone if you're taking pictures, but you'll want to test that out beforehand. So that's one thing I've heard so far. The other thing in the rumor mill, because the other AP English class, the AP Lit, word on the street is that there are over 15 different prompts that those kids got. Like, they only get one thing to write on, but there were like that many different tests available and distributed, which means in a single class period, the likelihood that your buddy has the same exact test as you is very small. So I would assume the same thing would apply for AP Lang & Comp, because the classes are very similar. They're both English classes. So just going into the exam, if you were thinking of being a cheater pumpkin eater, they've already thought about some of that stuff. And so I don't know how many excerpts they have for you to analyze, but hearing that AP Lit had at least 15, some were saying 15 or more, they lost track of how many. So that's really interesting to me, because that's just something new that is floating around on the interwebs. All right, so there's some things I've been hearing about. I hurt my toe the other day. I don't think I told you guys about that. So I thought I'd be a nice mom, and my kids have a chore chart that they're supposed to be doing that I always end up having to harass them about anyway, which that's fun. So anyway, they have their list, and one of the kids has it where they have to take the recycling and the trash out to the big containers outside. Yeah, that's the technical thing for it, right? So one day I decided to be a nice mom. I don't think it was Mother's Day. I think it was Monday. Because Mother's Day, I try to like totally take advantage of that day and not do anything. Yeah. So I think it was Monday. I was taking out the recycling, and I didn't put any shoes on, and I was going down my front steps, which are wood. And I don't know if my toe caught a splinter or a staple, or I don't know what it did. Caught something though, because I felt it. And it grabbed hold of my big toe and decided to tear it. So I got like a little tiny piece of skin missing, and it hurt. Luckily my son was there. So he was like, "Mom, are you okay?" And I was like, "No, could you do me a favor and go empty this thing out?" And so he was nice and took the recycling the rest of the way to the big container and emptied it for me. And I, had to go bandage up my toe. So I haven't gone running the last couple days because I didn't want to risk like splitting it open further or making it worse than it is. So I've just been letting my toe heal and just going like double bandaging it and just going on walks. So that's kind of not been so much fun. Yeah, this is what my life is. Coming on here and telling you about me hurting my toe. That's what we do. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Amy. My last video, I had a little thing about the snowflakes and why are they six-sided. I knew there had to be a scientific explanation for it, and I was just too lazy to look it up. Plus, I wanted to give you something to do. So Amy emailed me and said, yeah, it has to do with how they form and how they're frozen and all that stuff. I don't remember all the technical stuff that she put in there, but it is backed up by science. So you're not going to see a seven-sided snowflake. It just doesn't work that way with the how it forms, the prisms and the water and the coldness. Those are the technical terms it used. Coldness and prisms. That was it. What else? Oh, I need to finish planting my garden. It's over there. I made my daughter haul a bunch of dirt back there that my husband picked up at the nearby place that we get our garden soil from. So she had to haul a bunch of wheelbarrows full back here to finish it up. Where is it? It's right back. That's the new one. That's the new bed right there. Okay. So the other old ones are over there. Okay. So that's where the magic happens. So I'm going to be planting, what is it? I think that bed's going to be the tomatoes. I can't remember anymore. So I usually plant tomatoes because I like them. They're one of my favorite vegetables. They're a fruit. I know they're a fruit. I shouldn't say that. They're my favorite. They're not my favorite fruit though. They're my favorite fruit that masquerades as a vegetable. You can quote me on that. Favorite fruit that masquerades as a vegetable. Aren't most things technically fruit though? Like if you define fruit, like is vegetable even really a thing? Someone needs to look that up. That's my next challenge. If I remember right, fruits grow above ground, right? And they have seeds inside of them. And they come from a flower, right? They have to be flowering and then they get pollinated. And then within the fruit, the thing you eat, it has seeds. But then, okay, so why isn't a pumpkin a fruit? There's something about it. Now I can't remember, and now I'm feeling stupid because I used to know this thing. Because it's also why a tomato is a fruit. It's because of, is it the family it belongs to? Because it's a nightshade? Because a tomato is a nightshade. I know that. Nightshades are dangerous. Watch out. But it's something about if they're, that's something like that. I can't remember if the outside has to be edible, but that wouldn't make sense because we don't eat the outside of an orange and it's a fruit. There's something I'm missing in the definition. Because I remember it saying that like carrots wouldn't be a fruit because they grow below ground. So they're a vegetable. Same thing with like potatoes. Any of your root vegetables, they're vegetables. But I can't remember what differentiates between like I think a pepper, like a green pepper would be a fruit. Because it would fit the definition for that. Okay, that's your next job. That's your next assignment. Mrs. Thomas's random musings now need some internet verification. So today's is, if we're going to talk about the definition of a fruit, which definition should we use? And is there a definition out there where actually most of the vegetables we call vegetables are actually fruit? Like I know, for example, all your lettuces, those are vegetables because the seeds aren't inside of like a lettuce leaf, right? Or a head of lettuce, right? And like a cabbage, that's the flower. So if you let that flower and then pollinate, then you get your seeds and everything. But what we eat isn't actually the fruit because the fruit is usually the thing that carries the seeds and keep the seeds safe, right? And then the animals eat that so that then therefore the seeds get distributed in gross ways and stuff. Okay. There's something to that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm just enjoying being on my deck today. These are the best days, right? Where it's not raining, but it's kind of cloud cover, not so hot. Don't feel like I'm going to die. Yeah, it's good. Today's tea was my vanilla macaron, in case you were wondering. Pretty good. Pretty good. I think it's made with a black tea, if I remember right, which is what my chai tea is also made of. For some reason, I like the black tea. That's the one that has the caffeine in it, though. But not as much as coffee, if I remember right. All right, what else? 10th grade, this week you guys have your brackets. Please don't overthink that. I have a lot of people asking me questions about it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I have how many tutorial videos I've made about this thing? Oh my goodness. please, please watch those, because some people ask me questions and I start to wonder, are they actually watching my tutorials or not? Because it makes me feel like they're not, and they're just trying to get like a shorter version of it and being lazy. And that just wastes some of my time. So please, please, please watch the videos. Give me specific questions, not, I don't understand what this is. Okay, if you don't understand what it is after my hour and 12-minute video, I don't know what's going to help you understand it. Well, that plus my other video that's another 20 minutes long. So I devoted an hour and a half of videos to explaining it. So please watch them, rewatch them, rewind them, listen to it, pay attention, and hopefully it makes sense. I've also given you many, many examples. Okay. But don't be afraid to ask questions. Just please make sure they're specific. Some kids email me like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do for this. I'm like, what? Do you not know what you're interested in life? Because that might take a while for me to help you figure out. What else? AP, you guys have 2 different assignments this week. I've said that every single day because I never know who's here and who's not. Some of you already turned it in, so that's great. For those taking the test, it's really focusing on making sure your technology is ready for the exam. I would go on, make sure you are checking in those days leading up to the exam for that. Also, AP Kids, next week's prompts, really for those of you taking the test, for part of your prompt, you'll do it after the exam. And the other part you can either do before or wait until after the exam to do it. So just know that it's related to that. It's a little bit of reflection. Those who are not taking the exam, you can do it at any point during the week, of course. But we wanted to make sure those taking the exam had the option to not do it until after the exam. There's really part of it you can't do until after the exam. So that's all I'll tell you about that. And I don't think it will take you that long. Part of it's really fun. And then part of it's just some reflection, ideas, opinion stuff. Okay. So let's see, what else? I think that's it. My son's jumping on the trampoline. I had to sit and explain to him the names of groups of animals, because that was one of his assignments for 2nd grade. So he didn't know that you call it a school of fish. So you know those ones? I can't remember what they're called. It's not compound. Now I'm having a brain fart about it. Anyway, it's like how you have a murder of crows. It's the technical name for a group of animals. And so he asked about dinosaurs. We looked that one up, and that one, it can be either a pack or a herd. Now, I just did a basic Google search, didn't explain why one or the other, but we did some inferential work and figured out that probably herd is used to describe herbivores that are dinosaurs. So if you have a group of Brontosaurus, it would actually be called a herd of Brontosaurus. And a group of velociraptors, which are carnivores, would be a pack of carnivores. So we did that just by thinking about it and comparing the terms to what we know, like about pack of wolves and herd of cows, and made some connections there. So that was kind of fun, actually. What else? Found out that a group of jellyfish is called a swarm or a bloom. I'm thinking swarm, and this is my son said something about jellyfish stinging you. And then I was like, oh yeah, kind of like bees, right? And it's a swarm of bees. Oh my gosh. And then I felt kind of stupid for not thinking of this without having to look it up. So that was fun. Learn new things every day. What else? I had to help him get going on, understanding possessive apostrophes with the S versus plural S. That was part of his assignment today, which was great because it had 0 instructions. Yeah. It was their warm-up for the day, and he didn't even understand how to do the warm-up. So that's cool. So I had to do like a mini lesson on S and apostrophe S, which made me feel really bad for parents out there who aren't even teachers. Like, I'm an English teacher, so luckily I could handle that part. But can you imagine trying to help your 5th grader with some math that you don't even understand? be ridiculous. And then you're trying to do your job from home. Not fun. So that's what part of my afternoon was. So when you guys think that I'm just sitting around doing stuff for class now, I'm also trying to be a mom and get my kids to do their work. And he has a little bit of stuff to do every day, and he'd much rather play Zelda, which I let him play a lot of that because he bonds with his dad doing that and knows quite a bit about it. Still has to do a little bit of reading and thinking. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, pretty boring today at the Thomas household. No exciting package deliveries. I don't have anything to unbox for you today. Still working on grad school. It's like Groundhog's Day. All right, so our last thing, because we're on 25 minutes. This is way too long, but you know how I ramble. There's a hawk over there. Squirrel. You know it. It's the only thing I can be consistent with. I'm consistent with two things. Well, wait, I lied. I was going to say I'm consistent with recording these every day, but there was that one day I forgot. This is the only thing I'm consistent with. Okay. You got to have one thing in life, at least, that you're consistent with. Consistently and consistent. Here we go. All right, here. It's this side. I'm going to go right here. Right here. Okay, see, I'm not cheating. I'm not looking. Sharing popcorn. Depends how much popcorn there is. Let's be honest. If I only have one of those single serve popcorn bags that I make in the microwave, I'm not sharing that, and it's not going to make me happy to share it. But if I'm at the movie theater and I share it and the person's sitting right next to me, that's cool. That makes me happy, especially if it's somebody I love. Now, let's say you go with somebody like me who's really cheap, and I don't want to buy multiple popcorns because you get the refill, right? And there's 4 of you because, you know, mom and dad and 2 kids. Or you can fill in the gaps with whatever if it's you and your friends, right? So it's always that pain in the neck of passing the popcorn down, which doesn't make me very happy, you know? I think it was my sister-in-law that she would like sneak in like empty Solo cups into the movie theater. So then they would like distribute the popcorn to her kids that way. She would just use it, you know, they each get their scoop in the Solo cup of popcorn and they'd get that. And that's brilliant, actually. At the time I was like, what kind of person does that? And then once I became a mom and tried to take my kids to the movies and share a big tub of popcorn, I'm like, you know what? She was onto something. Definitely. By the way, this is your hot tips for the day. Hot tip of the day. When you go to the movie theater and get your popcorn, yes, you get the extra butter. Duh. Secondly, you need to do the mix-ins. Okay. Here's some of my favorite mix-ins. So you got to get, one of them is to get the Milk Duds, right? Milk Duds, those are the ones with the caramel and the chocolate on the outside. And you just sprinkle them in your popcorn. And so every once in a while you get a delicious bite of caramel popcorn flavor instead of just regular. It's awesome. Just be careful not to put it in while the popcorn's too hot. So wait till you get to your seat and everybody's trying to be quiet and then get really loud and obnoxious with opening the packaging and dumping them in and mixing it up. Like probably do it right when the movie starts. Like don't do it during the previews. Wait until the movie starts and everything's quiet and then prepare your popcorn. That's the right way to do it. Okay, what's my other favorite mix-in? I've done it before with Sour Patch Kids. Did I do movie popcorn mix-ins with you guys last year that had me for 10th grade? I think we did. I can't remember if it was with AP or with you guys last year. But we did, I did a day where I brought in just popcorn from Costco, you know, the big bags of the kettle corn. And then I brought in a bunch of candies and everybody had their own little Solo cup or whatever. And they put popcorn in and then they put their own candy in for their mix in. And we were doing something. Anyway, I couldn't remember if that was 10th grade or AP last year. Other mix in, Sour Patch Kids are good. Then every once in a while you get that sweet fruity Sour Patch thingy. So if you've never done mix-ins, I don't know what you've been doing your whole life, but you need to change what you're doing. If you can't afford the movie candy, which honestly, you don't really need to buy unless you just forgot. So you take some in your purse or your pocket, and then you buy their popcorn. You're still buying their merchandise, right? You're just enhancing it. So get your favorite candy. You just dump that on top, and then as you're eating, every once in a while you get the candy. It's great. It's wonderful. Okay? Just, yeah. That's all I have for you guys. Popcorn, sharing popcorn. Really, when she was writing this book, she was like, I need things for people to be happy about. Who doesn't love sharing popcorn? I don't know everybody that loves popcorn who likes sharing anything that they love. Okay, that was very selfish of me. I'm sorry. I'll stop now. It's time for me to go. Stay safe. See you tomorrow. May the force be with you. Adios.